In this video, I'll be answering the evaluation question 4, which is how did you use media technologies in the construction and research, planning and evaluation stages? So this is obviously talking about all the technology I used during the process of making my Freddo Film trailer, and including this blog, the blog, and this evaluation which I'm doing right now. So it's what I've used the whole way through. So it was a long process into making my thriller film trailer and magazine front cover with the poster, as well as there was a lot of research involved that I had to do, many softwares I used, and also many practical equipment I used during the filming process. There were many stages into making my media product, and to make it as realistic as possible, I had to use quite good equipment, as well as using lots of websites and practical softwares to help me find out how to make a good trailer. The conventions I had to use, the conventions I needed to follow, and also do much of my research into what makes a good thriller film trailer in order to make my one good. So that is the introduction for this video. So, on to the technologies I used. One of the very first softwares I used was to blog, and I was blogging on a website called Blogger Inventive. The website is important to my research, as this is where I store all of my research videos and planning I have for my trailer, posters, magazine front cover research, the trailers themselves, the ancillary tasks themselves. This is where it's all stored on this one blogging channel website. So this is just, it was quite nice to have all of my work put into one place. It was very easy to find. It didn't feel like I had to go hunting for any of my work. It was just all set out nicely by having, you know, all the film title research, all the storyline research, magazine front cover research, poster research. They all were in sections together. Which was really nice. It makes the blog much easier to navigate, and it also makes putting my work in the correct position in order for it to be easily found. This is where I presented all of my work so that people can see where my ideas and inspirations have come from, and to show background information about the film, such as location tours and audience researches into what my audience wants to see in my trailer, which shows I take what my audience want into account and give them something to look forward to when the film releases. So audience research was a big part of my research and planning, and obviously it was just, even though we're talking about Blogger right now, it was just quite nice to have each audience research put after. So for example, there'd be a similar strategy of research, ideas, audience research, questionnaires, results, final product. It's kind of that similar line. It didn't always follow that, but for the most part, that's how it followed, which was really nice and neat, and it makes it just very easy to navigate. Blogger allowed me to design my blog in a way that I wanted to. By this, I mean having pictures to aid what I was talking about in a video. So for example of this would be Kong Skull Island inspiration video. I had a poster of Kong Skull Island on the post, and the video of me talking about my inspiration underneath to give a bit of extra knowledge to the audience, which Blogger allowed me to do. So obviously this worked better for my inspiration post, but I did try to keep up with it. For example, if I was talking about my Nice Guys inspiration, I had a poster of the Nice Guys. It doesn't add too much to the overall feel of the blog, but it does just kind of give that more professional look. It just makes it a bit more brighter as well. It just makes it much more I wouldn't say fun, but I'd say enjoyable to navigate. If you go onto a website or a blog or WordPress or anything, and everything's all over the place, it wouldn't create such a nice atmosphere, and it would actually probably degrade the work because it was so hard to find and so time consuming. Whereas everything's in the right place, it's very quick, it's very simple, and that is a great way to lay out the blog, which is what Blogger allowed me to do. And adding photos into what I was talking about in the video just made it a bit more creative. It just made it a bit more interesting to look at, as well as obviously letting me add videos, scripts. It allowed me to design my own blog in a way that I wanted to. So for example, how I wanted it to lay out, what I want the colours to be like. I didn't want to change that too much because I didn't want to spend too much of my time focusing on the look of Blogger, whereas I could be focusing on the actual work. So to me, the crucial part, as I keep saying, was putting it all in order. But it was still nice to have that kind of freedom to create my own, almost like create your own website, but it's a blog, obviously. And also you can have it in date order. I had a nice orange. The way I presented it, instead of clicking, it was just a big old page which had the poster, a little bit about the video, and then the video underneath, so it's all kept concise, and it just worked really well. So overall, Blogger is the basis for my work and helped me keep my work in one location, and it also allowed me to portray my work in a creative manner. So obviously what I was saying about the posters is that it just allowed me to be a bit more creative. It didn't feel so, you could say, what would be a good word to use? It didn't feel so formal. It felt a bit informal, which isn't always a bad thing. It was still formal in the way it was all set out. The videos is all very nice and neat. But because of the creativity there, it didn't feel so strict. It felt a little bit more fun and almost enjoyable to navigate, because it's just the posters there create a bit more feel and just bring the blog to life. And obviously the little bit of text, it allowed me to add a little bit of text on what my film was, what the video was about. And also having the video there with a thumbnail underneath allowed the audience to know exactly what they're getting into. So overall, Blogger was a great place to help me store my work and was a crucial aspect in the technology that I used in creating my media product. Another important media technology I used was Premiere Pro. Premiere Pro was the software I used to edit not only my blog posts, but also my final film trailer. Premiere Pro allowed me to create creative blog posts and present my work, in a fun and different way. It allowed me to show clips and pictures from the films I was talking about, which allowed me for better videos and made my videos more entertaining to watch. So Premiere Pro will actually be the software I use to edit this very video that you're watching now, and there'll probably be pictures popping up on screen throughout this video. Premiere Pro, I learned to use at the beginning of last year when we were doing our AS, and it's slowly carried over. It's a great editing software to not only edit my film trailer, which I used it for, but to also edit my blog posts, because it allows me to show more of what I'm talking about. So for example, if I'm talking about a certain film, I can add clips or photos from that film to aid what I'm saying about. Though this does come with its disadvantages, because even though I would be using clips from, say, maybe a trailer of The Nice Guys or a trailer of X-Men Apocalypse, they can get banned, and that happened to me on multiple websites, which has allowed those videos, to also be non-existent. I've had to remove every single image from the photo, from the videos, and just have a black video with a voiceover, because there is no possible way of me getting it onto Blogger unless I did that. So even though you can express your creativity, other aspects and other websites disallow me to upload videos. Furthermore, this software also allowed me to edit my videos more and make them more entertaining to watch for the audience, which is what it's all about, entertainment. Furthermore, this software also allowed me to edit my videos to become more professional, as I could make transitions between clips to make the videos flow more smoothly. So for example, adding fades to blacks, fades to whites. It just makes it a little bit more smooth, rather than just jumping to the next clip. It kind of is a little bit more smooth. There may even be some in this video where it's just a bit smoother as it transitions, and it just makes the videos look more professional. So even things like this, little things like that, can really impact what you're saying in a video. When it came to editing my film, Premiere Pro gave me some useful techniques and effects to try and make my trailer look professional, and keeps it entertaining for the audience. Using color correction, I was able to make my film look like a Hollywood movie, and the transitions led to smooth contrast between takes, making them seem light and not sharp. Using Premiere Pro, I was also able to add in text from other softwares, which made my titles for the trailer better and made the trailer overall look more professional. So overall, Premiere Pro was very useful to me, making my blog and my trailer, and allowed me to make my professional content for my audience. So even though Premiere Pro was used for my trailer, allowed me to make smooth transitions, making it just look like a real trailer, it was also very effective in my blog post. So that's where mainly I used it. And it was just simple things, such as adding photos in or just transitions. I mean, in the movie, it went a little bit more complicated when I was using color correction and not just color correction, but obviously I was messing around with opacity, having two clips on top of another, just to make it give the film that Hollywood feel. But for my blog post, for the main part, it's quite easy. You just add in some clips, put some transfers, make them smaller, put in other clips, and it was very easy to use, which is another reason why I really like Premiere Pro. There is more advanced settings that you can use and mess around with, but for the most part, it's quite an easy software to get the hang of. So overall, that was Premiere Pro was a massive software I used in the process and actual final product of my media product, which obviously was my thriller film and trailer, Whispers of Yesterday. Now I will talk about a more practical equipment I used, which was my Nikon DSLR 3200 camera, which I used to film my blog posts and, more importantly, my film. And I took my pictures for my poster and magazine front cover on the camera too. So this camera has been very useful to me. Though it was not used to use all of my blog posts, I actually used my iPad Mini, which are currently being recorded on right now. The reason for that, quickly going off topic, is because the DSLR camera is a little bit harder to set up. It's a little bit harder to keep pressing start. It's much easier to use the iPad, which has a similar quality. Now, this does not mean that all of my blog posts have been on the iPad. Some of them, most of them, have been on the camera, and my film was definitely recorded on the camera, as well as the photos were taken, because that does give the best quality at the end of the day. The sound quality isn't as good, the best picture quality. But for the most part, we're focusing on the DSLR camera, Nikon 3200, because that quality is good. This camera allowed me to capture great quality pictures on my videos and allowed me to capture good quality and professional looking shots for my film. So for example, I was able to capture really nice looking looks on the field for my poster, and the graveyard looked very dense in the magazine front cover because of that camera. It does really highlight the colours as well in some ways, so it is quite nice, but we'll get into that in a minute. The DSLR camera was the main help in filming and taking photos in my coursework. Though it did not give the best colour when taking the photos and did have to do colour correction on Premiere Pro and Photoshop. So I did say that it highlights the colours, which is true, but the actual colour correction is not great. For the type of film, it was very bright, and obviously my film was supposed to be dark, so I wanted to darken the pictures and the trailer to make it suit my theme of the film, which was quite intense, dark, suspenseful, and obviously the fog in my photo was actually there. So when I took the photo using the DSLR camera, I was able to pick up the great looking fog, and it just made it look very more supernatural, as some may say, and really helped the theme of the film, which is obviously this dark and fear of the unknown. However, the actual quality the pictures takes were great and gave a nice background and contrasted from the foreground, creating interesting images for my poster and magazine front cover. Both my photos for the magazine front cover and poster had a foreground of my character and a background to show a location, which was the graveyard and the misty field. Even though there was a lot of editing done once I had taken the images and shots for the film, the DSLR camera was the basis of how I captured all my images and videos and shots for my work and this coursework. So I did have to edit, of course I had to edit the sound quality, colour correction, everything once I'd done it. But it does not mean to say that the camera itself was bad by any means. In fact, it was really good, and it allowed me to capture some really good quality pictures. The quality of the pictures, as I said, was really good. It was just sometimes the colour didn't really suit my theme of the film, and it can't all be done with lighting. Some of it is an editing job, and luckily in our day and age we can actually use editing in order to create nice quality photos. So obviously the camera was very crucial to my coursework, and it helped me to make the best quality photos and capture the best quality images for my thriller film. It helped me make my thriller film look as professional as it can and made it look like an actual Hollywood movie. So overall, the DSLR Nikon 3200 camera was one of the main practical equipment I used when filming my blog and my thriller film media product, thriller film trailer. After Effects was another massive part of my thriller film trailer, as this software I used to make my titles for my film After my opening 2 minutes to a thriller film for my AS coursework, I used Premiere Pro Text last year as the font for my titles, which I felt looked rushed and kind of looked unprofessional and took away from the rest of the film. The titles were very kind of basic. They didn't really have anything to do with the film. They kind of just appeared out of nowhere. They just didn't really fit in or have good transitions. Therefore, for my A-level coursework of making a trailer, I decided to use After Effects to make professional-looking titles which suited my film and captured the audience, to make my trailer look real and as authentic as possible. I used a glitch effect for my titles with a bold text to convey not everything was as it seems, and also to convey that the film was serious and was an intense action thriller film. Personally, I think the titles brought my film together. It makes the trailer look professional and gives the trailer a mature feel, which I really like, as it conveys to the audience that the film is serious, and because of the glitch looking disjointed and uneasy, the audience will be excited to see the full film when it releases. After Effects was really helpful in making my titles, because as I said, at AES when I used the basic Premiere Pro Text, it didn't really convey anything that the film had to offer, and it kind of made it look unprofessional, and I feel that took away from the actual film itself. So for this year, I really wanted to try and learn After Effects, and it worked to a certain extent. I wanted to make the titles convey the theme of the film. So obviously this glitch effect kind of creates the disjointed world that they live in and how everything's not as it seems. And the bold text relates to the thriller film genre, having bold in your face, showing that the people in this film are not to be messed with. It was really nice how this could also be rendered and put onto Premiere Pro without any hassle. And though none of the titles appear over the images, they just are on black screens. But that was not necessarily to do with the film. It's more trailers in general. They usually have their own screen for titles. The only bit of title I added in was was actually on the Whispers of Yesterday. The main title also has the glitch of it, but it also has a bit of fog, and this comes from the June 2017 as well. It has a bit of fog in the image. This kind of relates back to the poster, and it kind of connects the poster up, showing how the title is connected to the trailer, the poster, and the magazine front cover, which is a different evaluation question. But and it also just made it look quite professional. It made it look quite eerie. It wasn't really know what to expect from this film. So overall, After Effects was a really helpful software I used, and allowed me to create really realistic and intense titles for my film. The titles really conveyed what the film was about. They also conveyed my skills on After Effects, and though they could be better, the titles still came out quite nicely and made my film, helped my film look like a professional trailer, much like the camera work did, and much like the editing did in the editing process. So After Effects was a very good software to use for me. One of the main websites I used during the process was, most importantly, YouTube. I used YouTube in a multiple of different ways while making my film and doing my research. Firstly, this is how I found out about most of my research during the period of time I was recording this. I was doing this project. When I was talking about films, so say The Nice Guys in particular, which hadn't been released, The Nice Guys I did an inspiration because it's a massive inspiration for my film. I just had to talk about it. But at the time of the recording of the video, the DVD hadn't been released. So obviously I had to watch clips to refresh my mind and what happened in certain scenes, which were posted on YouTube. Obviously, the problem with YouTube is that if you want to use those clips in your videos, which I did, they can block it. And that did happen to me, and it was too late in the process to change any of it. It was too late, they blocked it so late on. I tried uploading it on Dailymotion, many different websites, but it just didn't work. For the most part, YouTube was fine, and YouTube was a great source for me to find out information and to load my videos. But in about 4 cases in particular that I can think of, they deleted my videos, so that was very distressing. This allowed me to get more information about the films I was researching. It allowed me to gather ideas and inspiration for clips and trailers I found on YouTube. However, I also used YouTube to just distribute my trailer. I used YouTube to promote my trailer and get the trailer to put to the public. This was also where I posted all of my blog posts so that people can watch them from Blogger, and even though some of my videos got banned, which wasn't good and allowed for a lot of content to be gone, it was negative for YouTube, but obviously for the most part it was alright. So obviously I'm going to talk about the distribution now, because obviously YouTube is where I distributed my film, and that's where I got a lot of my feedback on the film from, comments on the video, and that's how people watch it and then give me feedback in real life. It was quite good in the fact that I could get feedback from my audience on certain things that didn't work, and luckily, because I did my film in plenty of time, I was able to go back and change. And also it needs to be crisp for that people to enjoy the film and to make it look as professional as possible. So YouTube was good for a bit about everything. I used it to learn about After Effects, to learn about special techniques on Premiere Pro. It was a great tutorial place, a great, you could say, lesson. And also it was great to distribute the film and get feedback on the videos, as I've already said. And it was just an overall good experience to use, because obviously all the tutorials I used, it was great for making my videos good. It allowed me to have a kind of a second opinion, so people that may not have seen it on Blogger could have seen it on YouTube, which allowed me for more audience on my trailer, as well as more audience on my normal videos to give me feedback before the film's release. There was many things. The only negative about using YouTube is that some of my videos got blocked, and I did try using other websites such as Dailymotion, but they had ultimately the same effect where I couldn't upload the videos because they got blocked, which was very irritating and very upsetting, but luckily, because I had a lot of others, I just had to deal with the situation. But overall, YouTube was a great thing to use and really helped me in the process of making my film, and was the last website I used. Another piece of digital technology I used was the software GarageBand, which I used to create my music for my thriller film. Now, GarageBand is a software where you can piece together different pieces and melodies of music, and you can piece them together to make your own sound and your own soundtrack. Now, some people didn't use this method. Some people used a non-copyright music off YouTube, whereas I wanted to make the film completely to my own and made sure that the music fit what the audience was seeing on the screen. Sorry. So, in the first part of this evaluation, question 1, I talked about the method where I was putting together pieces of music, and the method I used, which was a slow, fast method. And then after that, I then spoke about the different, how fast they went and why they fitted in. Now this video is more to explain what I did, and there isn't much to explain really, because I already did a massive video on what I did. Basically, I got the most important parts of the music and started off with a backing track of piano because of the creepy feel that it gives. This then transferred into getting a little bit more intense and slowing down for when they discussed the plan, and then getting fast. And the last bit was probably the most crucial, because all thriller films have this part at the end where they show all the best shots and all the best action sequences. Well, not all, but quite a lot. And obviously this technique is used to get people excited for the film. So I couldn't not use this method, but obviously at the start it's much slower. And the reason it's much slower is because obviously you have to know a little bit about the storyline. So as such, the trailer has to build up for the action bits, because you have to know a little bit about what's going on before you go on to show all the characters in danger and all the cool action shots as such. You want to make sure that people are interested in the film, but also you can't make it too boring at the start that, you know, maybe if they're watching a cinema they can't, but if they're on a laptop, you want to make sure that on, like, say for YouTube, they're not going to say skip ad in 5 seconds, because obviously 5 seconds of your trailer is not a long time. So that was basically what I did in GarageBand. I just pieced the music together and then made sure that I before putting it onto the Premiere Pro document, I made sure I lined them up side by side and played so that I could adjust the music to either be higher in some parts where there wasn't any talking and lower in other parts where there was still talking. And from this method I was able to get like a quite intense shots of like really heavy music, especially at the end, but also could quieten it down for important lines and to make sure that the audience could hear exactly what my actors were saying. So overall, GarageBand was a great software which I used. It allowed me to make the music for my thriller film, which is key in a thriller film trailer, and because of that music that I've made, it makes the whole experience much more enjoyable, and it also makes the trailer much more professional. So the music overall, by using GarageBand and not getting copyright music, I was able to connect the music that I was using and the music I was creating with my trailer, rather than trying to revolve my trailer around the music. So personally, I think that the trailer should be made first, and then you fit in the music to that, because then you can make the intense bits and the less intense bits. And personally, I think the music came out really well. So this software was very successful in my thriller film trailer and my research and planning. Another software which I use, which is a part of the Adobe family, is Photoshop. Photoshop is what I use to edit my poster. Now, some people used InDesign to edit their poster. No, sorry. Some people used Photoshop to edit their magazine front covers, whereas I used InDesign, which we'll talk about in the next section, or the previous section in this video. So, moving on. Photoshop is a great software, I think, because you can do so much with it. There was a lot of extra features I was able to, an extra feature I was able to add in from learning Photoshop. Now, obviously, I do photography as well as media, so I did have an advantage, though my Photoshop skills are not brilliant, so it didn't help that much. So, as previously spoken, I used a DSLR camera to take this photo, and obviously, so I took the photo, and it was just one image. I then put star ratings on it, much like you see in posters nowadays. Now, those star ratings, I think, really bring a crisp feel to the poster, because the poster is very dark and gloomy, whereas the posters are gold, so they really do stand out. And then obviously the most important thing on the poster, in my opinion, is the opacity. That's when I've used the girl with the finger up to her mouth shushing. Now that used the opacity to make it a little bit duller, so it didn't look like it was all there. And then I just took the opacity right down on the rubber and went around her face, so it blended into the background. And in my opinion, I was able to do that because of Photoshop. Now, as I say, my Photoshop skills aren't brilliant, but they allowed me to do that, and I think that was the highlight of my poster, because it feels a bit more real as such. Not so much real as in like you'd see that in real life, but it feels like a more realistic poster. And then obviously we've got the title of Whispers of Yesterday, which is the same font as I used on my magazine front cover, obviously, which I'll get to in a second. So Photoshop was a really useful software which I used. I really did enjoy using Photoshop as well, because I feel like you could just do lots of things with it. I did edit the photo for the magazine front cover in the Photoshop, but only just taking up the vibrancy just a tad. But once I turned it too much, it kind of look a bit naff. But just a tad, just so it get the colours, bring the colours out on the photo. But then that magazine front cover went straight into InDesign. But obviously, Photoshop was really good for what I did, because it also allowed me to make collages. So on some of my photos on the blog, you will see that I put multiple films into one from the films I've talked about or spoke about. That was done through Photoshop. So obviously that's quite handy how I was able to kind of, I like to call them thumbnails. I know they're not on YouTube, but that's kind of what they are. And it was quite good to have obviously plonk that on there so then you could see just from the images what films are going to be talking about, such as one of the most things I remember was The Revenant, Lincoln. I do remember that one. So obviously Photoshop was really useful for me, and I did really enjoy using it. It allowed me to do many techniques into editing my poster and my magazine front cover, but obviously that was in InDesign, which we'll talk about next. So overall, Photoshop was a brilliant software, really helped me out, and was a massive influence and help on my research and planning, plus my ancillary tasks. The final software I used was Adobe After Effects. Now, not After Effects, InDesign. Now, the reason I probably said After Effects is just because I said that this year was the first year I used After Effects, and it was the same with InDesign. So InDesign is a website where you can make kind of, it's very similar to Photoshop, I thought, but it allowed me to do enough things that I didn't know how to do on Photoshop. That's where I edited my magazine front cover. So the main reason this is, I obviously input, you can kind of change like the diagonal of the fonts, the width, the height, you can move it around quite easily. You can do quite a lot with the fonts, and obviously fonts is quite a lot to do with the magazine front cover, because obviously once you've taken a photo, some people may have more than one photo, but obviously I wanted to keep it simple. So I just had the one photo on there of John in the cemetery. And obviously everything else obviously was on there. The text was very crucial to magazine front cover, as I said, which means I spent a lot of time looking for fonts. I did spend a huge amount of time getting fonts, trying them, failing with them. And I ended up one that looks like Friday the 13th or Whispers of Yesterday. And I just had to make quite a lot of fonts and make it quite a high priority, because obviously the font is, as well as the picture, is what draws the audience into the magazine front cover. And obviously InDesign also allows you to do quite fun things with photos, and though I didn't use many of the attributes that InDesign has to offer, I mainly wanted it for the resizing and the width, the italics of the texts, because I was able to make my texts like look really cool and look like they stand out. InDesign also allowed me to input photos, to kind of crop down my image to the right side without making it look tacky. You could actually cut out sides, basically cropping it and resizing it at the same time, which was quite a useful technique. And obviously InDesign is also quite good for placing images on top of images. The one criticism I do have about InDesign, because obviously this is an evaluation, is the fact that sometimes when you move images, there's two boxes to images, an orange box and a blue box. The orange box moves the whole image, the blue box just moves a certain part of the image, and I really didn't like that, and I felt that it was unneeded in the software, and it just made things much more complicated. But other than that, InDesign was a great fun to use. I kind of think I needed more practice, but then again, saying that, I don't think that the magazine front cover came out too badly. I think that it came like quite a nice kind of look to it. It kind of looks quite modern, quite sharp. So overall, I did really enjoy using InDesign, and it did help me out in creating a realistic magazine front cover. And that was all the digital technologies I used in my research planning, ancillary tasks, and my trailer. So in conclusion, I've talked about all the main aspects of the digital technology I used, from the cameras to the equipment I used and the softwares, and all the main things I used. I used many digital technology parts to aid me in my research and planning, ancillary tasks, and my final media product, which of course was a thriller film trailer. Because of these digital technologies, I was able to create a realistic and detailed research and planning, and a final trailer which has been able to be professional because of digital technology. Digital technology is the world now, and in my opinion, if you don't learn to use it, you may fall behind in this world. It's moving so quickly. So it was a great chance to learn new things on After Effects and Premiere Pro, and digital technology enabled me to make the best possible quality videos, not only for my blog post, but also for my final trailer and my ancillary tasks. So overall, from this video, I've evaluated each of the digital technology I've used and said whether they're positives or negatives, and they're mostly positives other than YouTube, and that was my evaluation for this question.